Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, I wish to welcome you to our final performance of Oliver, our inaugural production. Secondly, I wish to apologise for the absence of Mr. Resk, who unfortunately has been in bed for 3 days and is very upset about not being able to be here this evening. It's now my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Karen Baker, Headmistress.
But they have been fantastic kids. Thank you very much to you and to all the lovely parents who've supported them. Now it's my pleasure to present some bouquet of flowers to some of our people involved. It is impossible to cover everybody, but we have chosen a few special people tonight. So if you bear with us, we have some presentations to be made. Perhaps if all the children could move back a little bit, please. You're very close to the edge there. Thank you. Right. First of all, Mrs. Judith Jorner, who's sitting down there. Would you please come up this way? Mrs. Jorner has been the assistant director. She's helped with all sorts of things in practice and rehearsals and has helped us magnificently. Where's my girls? First bouquet, please. Right. Can you hold that for me, Scotty? Thank you. Oh, sorry. Next on our list is Mrs. Geraldine Foote. Mrs. Foote has been working backstage. She is the wardrobe mistress, and she has also been the superintendent in getting all this group of children ready and lined up downstairs, and it has been a very big job. Mrs. Geraldine Foote. She's not here. Where is she? Here she comes. Can you please move back and let the teachers come through for now? Thank you. Mrs. Foote. Travis, would you? That's it. Right, Mrs. Foote. Next is two mothers that have come in and helped backstage with Mrs. Foote. First one is Mrs. Fran Reid. She may be in the audience tonight, I think. If Mrs. Fran Reid could come forward, please. Move right back, please, little ones. Travis, go back, please. Right. Thank you, Mrs. Reid. And Mrs. Sorry. And Mrs. Margaret Goldup. I know she's in the audience tonight too. Coming down from the back. Sorry, Mrs. Goldup. Mrs. Goldup has been helping with wardrobe as well as supervising the children. Mrs. Goldup. The next person on our list is Mrs. Miller, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. So on behalf of Mrs. Miller, Mr. Miller will accept the bouquet of flowers. Thank you very much on behalf of the cast. Thank you. Right, we're going to sit down, are we? Good idea. Everyone sit down then, please. Thank you. Next on my list, I have Miss Jane Strickland. Jane, great. That's all right. Miss Strickland has played Bet. She has helped with organising the properties and has helped with a lot of things during our production. Thank you, Miss Strickland. Next on my list is someone very special to a lot of junior school children who has played the part of Nancy and has made a magnificent performance. Well done. Yeah. And my last special presentation is to someone very special who has worked absolutely tirelessly, giving up family and all sorts of things to get this show on the road, Mrs. Sue Fraser. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mrs. Fraser. Happy birthday to The students have organised this presentation for Mrs. Fraser of the cake, and I think they've made a magnificent gesture to her. Thank you, Mrs. Fraser.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Kevin Silverberg, who has some more presentations.
The first presentation which I would wish to make on behalf of the school is to Mr. Louis Sterling, producer, director and faker. There is a term in the theatre which is used to describe almost all activities. It is backstage, and the presentation is to Mr. Bruce Devine for his backstage contribution. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you very much. I think it covers a multiple of sins, Don. We have a parent, Mr. Carl Slotboom, who constructed the sets and has worked here day and night. And to him go the heartfelt thanks of the school. Carl, thank you very much. Similarly, a parent without whom we could not have achieved the standard that we have managed, Mr. Frank Sedgman, responsible for the production of our programs. Not sure whether Frank is in the audience tonight. He's probably making programs for next year. We are indeed fortunate to have enjoyed the services of Andrew Crawford, who came in